So, what are we all really striving for? I mean, what's the end goal? It's one of those huge human questions, right? Well, today we're going to explore two really profound and powerful answers to that question by looking at two very different final destinations, Nirvana and the biblical concept of heaven. All right, let's get into it. You know, this question really sits at the heart of so many religions and philosophies. Is the whole point to escape this world, to get away from it all, or is it to find some kind of perfect fulfillment in a new world? We're about to journey down two very distinct paths that offer completely different answers.
What's really interesting is that both of these spiritual journeys start in the exact same place, the universal human experience of suffering. I mean, both paths look around and say, yep, life involves pain and hardship, and they both offer a way out. But how they propose we do that, well, that's where things get really, really different.
So, in the Buddhist tradition, the source of all our suffering boils down to what they call the three fires. These are these internal flames that just keep us trapped in this cycle of pain. First, there's passion, or that kind of uncontrolled desire. Then aversion, or hatred. And finally, ignorance, or a delusion about what's really real. From this point of view, the whole spiritual quest is about one thing: putting out these fires. Okay, so that brings us to our first path. If suffering is caused by these fires of desire, then, well, the logical goal is to put them out, right? And that is the journey to Nirvana. It's a state that is completely centered on this idea of quenching those very fires.
And the name itself gives us the biggest clue. The word Nirvana literally means blowing out or quenching. It's not about finding a better thing to want or redirecting your desires. No. It's about the complete and total extinguishment of desire itself. That's the ultimate goal.
A really powerful way to picture this is with the analogy of a candle flame. Think of a person's consciousness, their self, as that flame. Reaching nirvana is like blowing out the candle. Poof! The flame is gone. But the energy isn't destroyed, right? It just transforms. It's reabsorbed back into the universe, becoming part of something else entirely.
And this leads to the final outcome. In nirvana, everything we think of as me, our personal identity, our wants, our physical body, it all gets left behind. Those things are seen as part of the suffering you need to escape from. The individual self just dissolves into this impersonal spiritual existence.
All right, now let's pivot and look at our second path, because it builds in a completely opposite direction. If the first path was all about quenching desire, this one is about the ultimate fulfillment of desire. This is the journey to the biblical heaven.
This quote from the Psalms just paints such a different picture of the final destination, doesn't it? It doesn't talk about emptiness or absence. It talks about fullness, joy, presence, eternal pleasures. Here, desire isn't the problem to be solved. It's actually the vehicle for ultimate satisfaction.
So let's break down what this destination actually looks like. Unlike nirvana, which is a state of being, heaven is described as a real, actual place. And crucially, your personal identity isn't lost, it's kept. In fact, people will have resurrected bodies and their righteous desires, the deep longings for love, community, purpose, those are finally fulfilled in a relationship with God. Okay, so we've walked down two very different paths that started from the same place, human suffering. Now let's bring them side by side. Let's really see just how fundamentally different their destinations are.
This comparison really puts it all in stark contrast. On one side, you have a state of mind. On the other, a real place. One path seeks to eliminate desire completely, while the other seeks to fulfill it righteously. But I think the most fundamental difference, the real heart of it, comes down to identity. One path ends with a self dissolving away to escape suffering. The other ends with the self being perfected through fellowship with God. Just, wow, two totally different endgames. So as we wrap up our look at these two powerful ideas, we can see that this universal quest to overcome suffering leads to two profoundly different conclusions. Not just about the destination, but about what it even means to be human and what our ultimate purpose is.
So, if we boil it all down, the crucial point is this. One journey ends with the self being extinguished to achieve a state of peace. The other journey ends with the self being completed to enjoy an eternal relationship. One is about becoming nothing in particular. The other is about becoming everything you were always meant to be.
And that leaves us with a final, powerful question to think about. When you really look at the end of the spiritual quest, what is the ultimate goal we're all seeking? Is it an escape from the self and the world? Or is it a perfect communion within it? It's a question with two very compelling and, as we've seen, very different answers.